Unseasonably warm here this afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. In fact, it's going to get warmer as the day goes on, and we'll be in the early 80s. Hugh Jackson, in his first year as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. How about Ray Horton, his defense coordinator, said he is the most inspirational coach speaker that he has ever been around, which is saying a lot. Mike Mularkey, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, really happy with the way his team played last week and is hoping that they can find consistency offensively, defensively, but also, and this is important to Mularkey, on special teams, and his team will get the football to begin today's game. Cody Parkey will tee it up for the Cleveland Browns. The Browns won. They deferred, so that's why the Titans will receive. Marietta's back deep to receive, and we are underway from Nashville as the ball skids out of the end zone. The Titans will begin 1st and 10 from their 25. So Marcus Mariota is going to try to bottle what he did last week and try to do that consistently each and every week. 4th career 4-touchdown game. I think that's saying a lot for a guy that's only been in the league for 2 years.
Yeah, that's one thing that we have to remember. It's only his 2nd year, and he's learning a new offensive system with a lot of new players around him. The thing that really stood out from last week's game against the Miami Dolphins is the fact that I thought he played more instinctually. And he went out there, he made plays, he didn't try and do too much, and that's certainly something that he can build on in this game.
So far, 15 touchdowns, no interceptions in the red zone for the Titans. They got a ways to go to get there as Delanie Walker's in motion, and here is Mariota running for the first time and into the open field deep inside Cleveland territory. Boy, he is so good at that. He's been doing it since college, making the decision to take it and tuck it.
But you see the influence that Murray has on the offense secondary here, and everybody's going to fall inside because they see a gaping hole and they think Murray has the ball, but then Walker comes out as the lead blocker and then gives his quarterback a lane to the outside.
Gain of 41 yards for Mariota, so it'll be first down for the Titans from the 34 of Cleveland. Well, that's a nice way to start the day for Marcus Mariota. Walker comes in motion again to set up. And Mariota looking right, throws right, and it's nearly intercepted. In and out of the hands of Joe Schobert. There's a flag on the field. I believe Delanie Walker, well, he was a little delayed in getting set. Carl Cheffers is the referee for today's ball game.
Illegal formation offense, only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's not often that you see Delanie Walker a little confused about where he's supposed to be, but certainly was confused there. Let's take a look at the Titans offense. We begin with this offensive line, which has been so good. Number 25 rush offense last year. They're number 2 right now. Ben Jones has made a big deal in the center position. Skilled players, Andre Johnson getting the start. He's had a huge impact, not only in the room, but also on the field. He's in motion now on first down at 15 from the 39. Long snap count for Mariota. Now the handoff to Murray, and Murray is slowed at the line of scrimmage by Danny Shelton, and he leans forward. Speaking of Danny Shelton, let's take a look at these Cleveland Browns defense. Shelton is the man in the middle, former first-round pick a season ago out of Washington. The linebackers, Demario Davis has been a big impact player for the Browns from a linebacker standpoint over from the New York Jets. And in the secondary, Buddy Calhoun making the start for the injured Joe Hayden, who's been nagged by a groin injury this year that perked up earlier this week in practice. So he's inactive. Second down at 12. And here's Murray, bounces to the outside, nothing's there. And good pursuit. Demario Davis is going to be credited with the tackle, but Nassib was the guy that kind of forced the action inside.
It's key. You know, Murray loves to hit the edges, and you got to make sure that you force him to go outside because he's going to bounce. And then when he tries to cut all the way from the backside, the discipline to be there right in his face is the way you have to play in team defense. Disciplined defense, knowing that he's a running back that can hit it anywhere at the line of scrimmage.
So it's forcing a third down and 15 for the Titans. 3 receivers to the left side of Mariota. Out of the shotgun, looking to throw. Left side of the field, pass is complete. There's a flag down. Kendall Wright makes the reception. May have had movement on the left side of the offensive line for the Titans, so that might come back. Well, the Titans talked about getting Kendall Wright involved early.
Offside. Number 91 defense lined up in the neutral zone. That penalty's declined. Result of the play. First down.
26-yard gain. It's Tyrone Holmes who was in the neutral zone.
It's a great sight. Kendall Wright has to be more involved in the offense, working in the slot. And you see, he has a very good knack of finding the open zone. He excels against zone coverage. Now, they also have to get him involved with yards after the catch opportunities, because if you give him space, he's the one player on this offense that can make something happen.
So first down from the 18 for the Titans. Play clock is down to 3. Mariota realizes down to 1, and it's down to 0. He tried to call a timeout. There is a flag in the back of the end zone.
First charge, timeout.
So the
Tennessee.
Titans do get the timeout. All right, so the Titans are looking to have their first opening drive touchdown, Adam, since September of last year. Now, if they do score, Taylor Lewan, who didn't know that they hadn't scored since last year on an opening drive touchdown, said that he's going to have some kind of celebration. But as you told me, football players don't realize that kind of stuff.
Not at all. They're focused on what's in front of them. But as you watch the Titans, that's been one thing that they've struggled with this year, slow starts. And they found themselves down big early in some games, and they had a resiliency to be able to come back in some of those games. But for once, they want to be able to play with a lead so they can use the offense and run the offense the way it's designed.
Conklin shifts over next to Lewan on the offensive line. And the handoff goes to Murray, running left. He likes to run left, and he is slowed. Here comes a flag. Jamar Taylor makes the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Boy, it's been a flag fest so far, and some pushing at the end. Quinton Spain getting involved in a little extracurricular activity with Danny Shelton.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Number 57 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
So the penalty is called against Cam Johnson, third-year pro out of Virginia.
I think it's Johnson on the tight end. Anthony Fasano, you can see his hand right there in the face, man. And he keeps it on there almost.
He sure does.
The entire snap, but great tackle outside by Taylor. They're going to test the secondary. They're going to test the corners and see if they want to tackle a big back in this game.
In motion is Sharp, the rookie, to the near side. It's first down and goal. And here's Murray to the left side, and he is tracked down and knocked out of bounds. Well, you talked about Christian Kirksey in the open. That's a big-time one-on-one play right there against DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, penetration and making plays, getting to Murray before he has a chance to get going, and then making the tackle once you get there is the key to playing good run defense. That's exactly how you run the alley, press the line of scrimmage, and run Murray out of bounds.
Kirksey, who leads the team in tackles with 45, playing in his 38th game for the Cleveland Browns. High formation. Fowler, the fullback, is in. That's Fasano in motion. And Mariota again to Murray. Murray runs left, tries to step inside. And again, the gang tackle. So important for the Browns, and it'll be third and goal for the Titans.
I think the key word today is consistency, both teams. You go back to last week, and the Titans' offensive line sticking on blocks and not allowing people to get off. But so far in this drive, it's exactly the type of defense that you want to play. They've stayed disciplined. They've been able to set the edge. And the guys inside have gone off the block at the line of scrimmage and made plays on Murray. Now, the key is you're going to have to do that for about 35, 40 plays per game. And it's going to wear on you.
Here's Mariota out of the shotgun, looking to the end zone. Pass is complete. Touchdown, Titans. Rashard Matthews, his second touchdown reception of the year, and Tennessee jumps out first, and the streak is over. They score a touchdown at an opening drive for the first time since last September.
Perfect drive, and it's capped off by Rashard Matthews. Touchdown on the left side of your screen. I think he's going to be working on Jamar Taylor. He's going to push him to the outside to create just a little bit of separation at the top of the route and then curl up. And then Mariota, perfect timing, hits him out of his break. And about as good of a first drive of the game as you could ask for for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, 7 plays, 75 yards. Some penalties by the Browns certainly helped. And now the point after by Ryan Succop. 8 of 9 this year. Make it 9 of 10. 7-0 Tennessee. A nice start for Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans. His 41-yard run set up this touchdown pass to Rishard Matthews. 7 plays, 75 yards. The touchdown pass to Matthews. How about 2 third-down conversions, 2 third and long, including the touchdown pass, and then 1 to Kendall Wright on a 3rd down and 15. That helped set up the touchdown for the Titans. So they lead at 7-0. The Browns will get the ball for the first time. George Atkinson is back deep to receive. Tracy Howard is back there as well. And Howard will watch this go over his head and out of bounds. Thursday, your weekend starts here with a classic NFC North rivalry game at Lambeau Field. Bears at the Packers. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. Former Browns quarterback Brian Hoyer is having himself one heck of a year for the Bears. Now, they're not winning a lot of games. This is the current Browns quarterback, Cody Kessler. And we say that because, as everybody knows, it's a revolving door. They hope that he'll provide some stability. Left last week's game with the rib injury. He wanted to come back in, but he just couldn't protect himself. And he'll begin with Crowell and Johnson both in the backfield. That's Johnson in motion. He's the better receiver of the two. And Kessler to throw on 1st down, middle of the field. Barnidge wide open. And Barnidge rumbling inside the 35 to the 31-yard line. Donaris Searcy makes the tackle. Well, that'll relax a rookie quarterback.
Cover 3 defense, and you're just going to hit seams. Barnidge runs in here, and the free safety, Donaris Searcy, is late getting over the top. He is over on that left hash. And Kessler with a good job of reading his eyes, identifying the coverage, and hitting one of his most reliable targets.
Sean Coleman is tackle eligible in the ballgame for the Browns. Right side of the offensive line with 2 tight ends. Here's Kessler to throw again under pressure. He'll roll. He's going to try to get out of bounds. He does not want to get hit. It'll be no gain. Let's take a look at the Browns offense. Kessler is excited to have Cameron Irving back out as the starting center. He's played a couple of games with him in the preseason. So Bailey moves from right guard to left guard. Greco moves from center to the right guard position. Barnidge, we just saw his impact already. That's his 22nd catch of the year. And he also has 14 receptions this year for 1st downs since week 2, which is 3rd best in the NFL. On 2nd down, Kessler, left side. Pass is complete. Ricardo Lewis, one of the rookies. Let's take a look at Tennessee's defense. What a week they had last week. 6 sacks. They were all over the backfield. Jarrell Casey is as special a player as you will find. He had 2 sacks last week. Derek Morgan, shoulders fine, and he's a nice compliment to Brian Arakpo, who's on the other side as a linebacker. And Jason McCourty, he is the leader of the pack in that secondary. Mike Mularkey said they needed the crowd to get into it because there's so many Browns fans and so many visiting team fans that come in. And they're into it right now on 3rd and 5. From the 27. Kessler to the right side. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Pryor. Parrish Cox in on the coverage. The pass didn't look like it had a whole lot on it for Terrell Pryor once he came out of his break.
Well, in a key situation, trying to convert their first 3rd down, they're going to their best receiver in Pryor. Good timing on the pass as he tries to hit Pryor coming out of the break, but the ball location not in a great spot for Pryor to come down with it.
All right, here's Cody Parkey, who was not the starter at the beginning of the year. This will be a 45-yard field goal. He was injured most of last year, part of the Eagles roster. Very good in 2014. Good snap, good hold. Kick is on its way. 45-yarder, and it is good. So each team has some points after their opening drive. 8:47 to play 1st quarter. 7-3 Tennessee on top. This past Friday night, Marcus Mariota's high school team, St. Louis High and Honolulu, won their 1st round game. 33-zip over Iolani. Their 2nd round game will take place next Friday. That was at Aloha Stadium, and he was well aware of what his high school was about to do. Well, this is what he did on the first drive to set things up. A 41-yard gain to kick things off that led to the touchdown. I mean, you can see his wheels rolling here.
Yeah, it's a great way to start to loosen up a defense. But then when he came back and did 2 big throws on third downs, getting the ball down the field and working with great timing, you see a nice sense of calm and patience and accuracy from Mariota in the first drive.
You think Ray Horton, the defense coordinator for Browns, was telling his guys, I told you all week the guy can run.
That's what he said. He said, just so you know, it may not look like it on tape, but this guy is fast. And he showed it right there.
DeMarco Murray in the backfield on first down. Second possession of the half for the Titans. Quick drop for Mariota. Now he'll roll. And he tucks and he slides down. That's the kind of decision that they'd like him to make where he doesn't get hit. Buddy Calhoun is credited with the tackle. It's a gain of about 7.
Well, they did a good job in the first series containing Murray. But now they have to do it on the quarterback, who can easily get outside. Jamie Meter was replacing the zone dropper on that play and has to do a better job of not allowing Mariota to get to the outside.
Mariota with 2 carries now, 48 yards in this first quarter. Offset I formation. Supernaw is in motion. Now the handoff goes to Murray. That was read nicely by the Browns. Ibrahim Campbell came up to make the tackle, and it looked like he saw that happening from his position.
That's kind of what he does. You know, he's replacing Dante Whitner, last year's strong safety. And he's a good box player, and he figures to get a lot of action here. But you have to be impressed so far. Now, they haven't done as good of a job on the back end holding up on third downs. But up front, there has been nowhere for Murray to run, but that's because they're playing disciplined, fundamental football from the front 7.
Yeah, Murray just 5 carries so far, but minus 3 yards. On third down, Mariota rolls the pocket. Not much there. He throws on the run, and it's nearly intercepted. That was a dangerous pass. Jamar Taylor was in the neighborhood, and the Browns do a nice job on third down that time.
I think that's the one thing that they're trying to get out of his game. You know, that fine line between trying to make something happen. You know, he sees his receiver, Matthews, coming across the field, and you know that's just not a good idea. Excuse me, that was Tajay Sharp coming across the field, but Jamar Taylor was all over that thing, almost undercuts it for the interception.
Duke Johnson back deep to receive this punt from Brett Kern. Special teams have been a big deal for the Titans, and Johnson, who's a good one, breaks 1 tackle and then bursts across the 35. He may have stepped out of bounds, but he's inside Titans territory, and the stiff arm knocks him out of bounds. There is a flag back at the 37 of Cleveland, so that may bring that ball back. There's also a flag down at the 22 of Tennessee.
I think we have a block in the back. Right on the sideline from the Cleveland Browns. I couldn't quite see what number that was, but that was the initial flag.
Fortunately for Mike Mularkey's team, there is a flag down, and you know, they've allowed a punt return for a touchdown in each of the last 2 weeks. And as he told us on Friday, he takes special teams very seriously because that's where he made his living for most of his NFL career.
Illegal block in the back. Return team, 10-yard penalty, first down. There's no foul for a face mask. Timeout.
All right, so they pick up the flag on the Tennessee side of the ball, but they leave the flag on the Cleveland side of the ball. Duke Johnson trying to get into the open field. Tomorrow it's a night full of laughs, starting with all new episodes of TV's #1 comedy, The Big Bang Theory, followed by TV's #1 new comedy, Kevin Can Wait. Then don't miss a new Two Broke Girls and the season premiere of The Odd Couple, only CBS. Hello, with Adam Archuleta, I'm Tom McCarthy. Beautiful day here in Nashville. Titans on top 7-3. Crowell's first run of the day. There is a flag down on the far side. Derek Morgan makes the tackle. All right, it's time now for Arch's Angles. Take us through it there, Adam.
To get consistency, Tennessee cannot allow the big play. That's one thing that's been plaguing them this year. We've seen this so far in the first couple series. Penetrate and tackle. That's the only way you're going to stop this running game. And Terrell Pryor, not only as a receiver, but as a quarterback, has to own a major chunk of the Browns' production for them to put points on the board.
Yeah, he's had 1 target so far, but you're talking about more than just passing him the football, that he's got to be in the backfield.
6:55.
There's a legal formation called against the Browns. There is Terrell Pryor. Really a great joy to meet with him yesterday. He's animated, and he loves the fact that he's still in the National Football League and playing in a role. 1st and 15. Off the play fake, pass is dumped off to the near side. It's Duke Johnson who gets up close to the 15. He stopped at the 14-yard line. It'll be 2nd down.
It's another player that I think Hugh Jackson has to get involved in a lot of creative different ways. And I think if you watch them over the first 5 games of the season, they've actually done a good job of navigating their injuries and all the different players and their personnel and putting them in places for them to go out there and have success. But Duke Johnson certainly is a guy that has to have a lot of touches in this game as well.
They have run the ball, passed the ball 5 times. They pass it the 6th time. Here's Andrew Hawkins up to the 25. Let's get to New York for an update with JB and Coach Cower. Guys?
A fumble by Odell Beckham Jr. leads to this.
1 yard Terrence West touchdown run, and they lead 10-0 in the first quarter.
Let's take it back to Tennessee. Tom McCarthy and Adam Archuleta.
Well, guys, they wanted to get Odell Beckham involved a little bit more. The Ravens 4-1 all-time against the New York Giants. Giants in desperate need of a victory. Duke Johnson is spread out to the near side. Again, Kessler 4 of 5. They have not run the ball except for the 1 play on the penalty. Well, that doesn't count. Kessler going to throw again. Looking long, near side for Johnson, and he can't get it. Covered by McCourty. But McCourty, it looks like, is going to be called for pass interference. There is a flag that sits at the 37-yard line. That is the versatility of Duke Johnson. I mean, he can go and get it.
You think they have confidence in Johnson, lined up with the best cover player on the Tennessee Titans, and they run a fade pattern?
Pass interference. Number 30 defense. Automatic. 1st down.
Here it is, McCourty, the best cover corner of the Tennessee Titans on Johnson. And McCourty in good position right there.
I think it was the hand check earlier in that route.
I think that was I think that was a lot of body contact. I thought that was calling it pretty close, and felt like McCourty was in pretty good shape on that play.
Well, here's Pryor, first time as the quarterback out of the shotgun. He's trying to run the option. He fakes the pitch and then dives forward inside the 35. What did he tell us yesterday? He said, I don't mind playing quarterback. He goes, it's not ideal all the time. He said, what I did, though, is ask Hugh Jackson to make sure, and Pep Hamilton, hey, I've got to get some more reps during the week because I got to at least look good if I'm out there.
He said, do not throw me out there and make me look bad.
Yeah.
I've got to have practice. But I think, it's that mindset is the reason why he's made that transition. He doesn't want to be a quarterback, and he's put everything, all of his energy, his work, and his focus in being the best receiver, and you've seen it pay off.
Well, that was the first run of the day. Here's Kessler to throw again. Looking downfield for Pryor. He's got him. He's knocked out of bounds. Parrish Cox is in on the tackle. All right, so how hard is this to make this transition? Recently, we've seen Cordell Stewart kind of do it, but you have to go back to the 60s, the 40s, the 30s. It is not easy to do it. And Dick LeBeau, the defense coordinator for the Titans, told us that. He said, Cordell's the closest thing. He said, but even that is a little different than what Pryor's doing.
I don't think anybody understands how hard it is to do what he's doing. And not only to just play receiver, but in a few years, he's going to be one of the top receivers if he keeps growing and improving at this rate.
Burwell doesn't get much. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Bayard comes up to make the tackle.
And Tom, the only way, we've seen great athletes. We've been around sports our entire lives. It's more than being just a great athlete and being big and being fast and having great body coordination. His mindset, and especially after meeting him in our meetings yesterday, his mindset is what sets him apart. This guy competes, and he's put his heart and soul into it, and he deserves the success that he's seeing so far.
Dick LeBeau told us the other day, he said, I've been following him since he was a freshman in high school because he was such a good basketball player. Here's Kessler on the quick drop, shovels it forward. He has Crowell, who makes a man miss and then stumbles to the 13-yard line. He'll be shy of a first down.
Hugh Jackson continuing to throw the football because the Titans are playing their safety down inside the box, expecting the run game. And so what they're doing is saying, okay, we're going to release our players into pass routes. We're going to hit the open zones. And so far, Kessler has made great decisions with the football.
Burwell hit behind the line of scrimmage, and the crowd erupts. Carl Klug, who when he's on the field runs at 100 miles an hour, ran at 100 miles an hour right there on third down.
The Carl Klug he's a wild animal out there. Number 97, a swim and a whiff by the Browns offensive line. And last week, Arakpo and Casey and Morgan, they had a lot of love because they each had 2 sacks in that game. But Carl Klug was just as disruptive and has been disrupted, just doesn't get the credit that he deserves in his career here with Tennessee.
Arakpo told us, he said, I love him. He's underrated. He's one of the top interior natural-born pass rushers he's been around. Here's Parkey with a field goal attempt of 37 yards. It's good. 2 possessions for the Browns, 2 field goals. Cody Kessler, not bad so far for Cleveland. Well, it's an understatement to say that we enjoy coming to Nashville, Tennessee. Everybody does. In fact, Mike Mularkey told us, he said, we've become a destination city for other NFL teams. He said, I'm going to look up and there's going to be a ton of Browns fans here. He said, why not? There's always so much to do. Chris Stapleton performed yesterday. Adele performed. The Predators were home with their home opener the other day. 7-6. Tennessee is on top. 2:08 to play first quarter. Mariota going back to work. Third series when we come back. Screening saves lives. At the NFL and the American Cancer Society encourage everyone to join in the fight against breast cancer. Learn more about a Crucial Catch Day on October 25th and find out how you can help make a crucial catch at NFL.com/pink. And it was very special today. Before today's ball game, Tajay Sharp's grandmother, Cozy Little, there she is, a breast cancer survivor, served as the honorary 12th Titan, planting a sword at midfield just before kickoff. And Tajay was very excited that she was going to be here today. She came down with breast cancer in 2001. All of her scans are clear. He has 13 family members that came into town with her to watch the Titans play today and also be part of it. On first down, here's Murray. And Murray again is stopped after a gain of maybe 1. Danny Shelton was there, so was Schobert. Well, you do know that they're going to keep on giving Murray the football because they need to get him involved as he's been involved so far this season.
It's a big commitment to their offense, and even talking to the tackle, Taylor Lewan, he said, we have to be consistent every single play. It can't just be good enough that we ran for 235 yards last week, but our goal is to dominate the line of scrimmage. So far, I would have to give the edge to the Cleveland defensive front.
Taylor Lewan, who's as animated a guy as you'll talk to leading up to a football game. They take it seriously. They want to be the offensive line that has the leading rusher in the National Football League as Kendall Wright makes his second reception, knocked out of bounds by Jamar Taylor.
They have to find a way to continue to get Kendall Wright involved in this offense. He missed a lot of time here in the offseason, in the first part of the season because of injury. But they need speed on their offense, and they need playmaking ability. Now, he doesn't see the field a lot because they use a lot of multiple tight end sets. But especially on third down, Kendall Wright has to be a major factor in this offense.
It is third down, 3rd and 2. That's Murray in motion out of the backfield. Don't sit on him either. 24 receptions, and that one is off his fingertips. Not the greatest of passes from Mariota. And it'll be 4th down, and the Titans will be forced to punt for a second time.
That's got to be disappointing because they got the look that they wanted. They set a natural pick, and Murray slipped underneath to the flat, was wide open, would have had an easy first down. Maybe if he was able to turn the corner, get upfield for a big play, but Mariota missed him.
So Duke Johnson is back deep to receive. Here's Kern. First punt return, or first punt for Kern was 47 yards. Just gets that one off. It was nearly blocked. Johnson picks it right off the turf and runs right into traffic, but still on his feet. And he's up to the 22-yard line. I think he lost his spike.
There was a flying shoe.
There was a flying shoe. Be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today. Oh, Duke Johnson's going to run off the field and try to get his shoe back on. Right here, it's going to come out. There it is. I have to clean that sock up. It's a process, Adam, to get that shoe back on with all the padding that guys have.
It is.
39 seconds to play here in the first quarter. Kessler 6 of 7 so far. Throwing for the 8th time, and his pass is complete to Terrell Pryor. He took a hit as he threw it. There's Coxon on the coverage.
Releases off the line. The big thing that new receivers have to learn, especially coming into the National Football League. But Terrell Pryor releases like a smaller receiver. He's very unique in his transition out there.
Gain of only 4. Here's Crowell on 2nd and 6. And Crowell is spun down by David Bass, 4th-year pro out of Missouri Western. And that will be the end of the first quarter. 7-6, Titans on top of the Browns. We'll return to Nashville after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. So much that's even in this game so far. I mean, look at the offensive plays, each with 13. Look at the time of possession. I mean, very close.
And Cleveland doing it in a little bit of an unorthodox way. They're doing it with their short, efficient passing game instead of the run game. Now, 3rd down coming into this game, 31 first downs between Pryor and Barnidge. Certainly 2 people that you have to target if you're Tennessee.
Barnidge on the right side of the offensive line, number 82. Kessler under pressure. He's spun down. Jarrell Casey, his 3rd sack of the year.
Such a great setup by Dick LeBeau in this line stunt. Jarrell Casey is standing up, and he's going to loop around to the right side. The offensive line fails to pick him up in protection. And that is what you call execution on defense. I loved what Dick LeBeau had to say about attacking offensive lines. He said, that's the one area where defenses can make offenses adjust to what we're doing, and he's the best in the business at it.
And every week seems to be different, too, for the Titans. Mariani back deep to receive from the 34. And he's up to the 41-yard line. Schobert makes the special teams tackle. Well, DeMarco Murray's had some tough treading going so far today.
Good game up front. Penetration and tackling. There's been nowhere to go. He hasn't been able to pick up any steam, and he has to make somebody miss in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage on virtually every carry. It's a good picture right there if you're a Cleveland Brown fan. A lot of hats on number 29. This cannot be a one-on-one tackling day for the Browns defense.
Well, that's part of what you talked about in your arches angles, just how important it was for everybody to be involved. Good field position, though, for the Titans on 1st down. Off the play fake, Mariota steps up to the pocket. He's hit as he's starting to run, hurdles a little bit, and he loses his hat. Mario Davis will be credited with the sack, or with the tackle, I should say. Meter was there as well. Gain of 1.
Good coverage on the back end, and you see the great push or great rush inside by Meter to get Mariota to try and escape the pocket. But this was a 2-man route on the right side that was covered perfectly man-to-man, and Mariota had 0 options.
Marco Murray. And again into a traffic jam. He gains a couple of yards. Denny Shelton with the tackle. Let's check in with JB and Coach Cower for an update in New York.
Kaepernick hasn't done this in a while, Coach.
Not since week 6 of last year. After throw a touchdown pass here, finds Torrey Smith wide open in the secondary, 53 yards, and San Francisco takes the lead in Buffalo, 10-7.
Tom and Adam.
Well, guys, that was a pretty good pattern that the 49ers just ran there. Have won 3 of their last 4 against Buffalo. And he was wide open. 3rd down at 7 for Mariota. And he's got Supernaw on the outside, and he's got a 1st down. Bonnie Calhoun makes the tackle. Coaching staff could not talk enough about Supernaw, more for his blocking than anything else.
Inside linebacker gets too deep, and he can't react fast enough. The secondary, Calhoun doesn't get off his man fast enough to get leverage to the flat. And Mariota diagnosing the defense correctly and getting the ball out, picking up another 1st down.
Honestly, if you wanted an assessment of the offensive players, particularly the tight ends, all you got to do is ask Taylor Lewan. He was the guy that gave us an assessment of all of the guys, particularly the linemen and the tight ends. Mariota off the play fake. Steps up in the pocket, going long. He's got a man wide open. Diving grab. Kendall Wright into the end zone. Touchdown, Titans. His first touchdown reception of the year. He caught it short of the end zone, but then bounced his way across the goal line.
You never really see two receivers to the short side of the field, but they put him there so he has the entire width of the field to run away from the defense. And Derek Kindred, the strong safety, gets lost at the break, and Mariota puts it out there for Wright to run under it. And that's how you capitalize on a big play. They said they wanted to get Kendall Wright involved early in this game. That's exactly what they need from him as this season continues to go on.
Well, he opens up so many other facets of the game.
Moving on the field is a touchdown, and that is under review.
Every scoring play, every turnover is reviewed by the booth, so they're going to take a peek at this one. Kendall Wright's going to try to catch his breath on the sidelines. This was a beautiful pass, but an even better catch. Right now, a touchdown for the Titans.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So a couple of things that Carl Cheffers and the replay officials were taking a look at. Kendall Wright loved it. Was his knee still on the ground when he was touched? Right there, he's touched, but his knee is up off the ground.
Matter of inches.
Matter of inches, and then he's pushed forward into the end zone. So there it was clear. As long as his knee was off the ground, and it was, and that's what they saw. So now the point after for Suckup. And it is good. Well, Marcus Mariota knows where his numbers are at home. Well, they are changing here today, up 14-6 as he just tossed a touchdown pass to Kendall Wright.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Chili's 3 for Me deal. Chillin' since '75. And by Nissan. Innovation that excites.
Well, the Cumberland River just outside of Nissan Stadium. If you're not watching football today, maybe you're out on the river, but you've missed Kendall Wright's 48-yard touchdown reception. 4 plays, 59 yards. 2 minutes and 16 seconds. He was trying to catch his breath. I think he got the wind knocked out of him on that diving catch. Suckup's kickoff. Atkinson will take it right at the goal line. He's going to come out. And it was read beautifully by the special teams of the Tennessee Titans. Nate Palmer makes the tackle. Week 6 continues later today on Fox. Then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. And tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. 2 teams in need of a victory, the Jets and the Cardinals. All right, so Terrell Pryor looks like he's going to be the quarterback to start this drive. Here's Kessler talking to Hugh Jackson. So Pryor will work out of the shotgun. Crowell is next to him. Now he's not only in there to run the ball, he'll throw the ball too. Finished last week's game as the quarterback. Throws low, passes completes to Ricardo Lewis, and he might have gotten a yard. Well, he does it all. I mean, obviously a quarterback coming out of Ohio State, 338 receiving yards, 40 passing yards, and 18 rushing yards, and 2 total touchdowns. And I think you're right. You said it before, Adam. It's going to be interesting to see how he is in 2 or 3 years. Back at the receiver position with Kessler as the QB. Kessler pitches it to Crowell, and Crowell dragged down from behind. Maybe a gain of 1. Brian Arakpo, who could be the biggest fella that we've ever met with.
Tough to run on one of the best edge setters in the National Football League. Brian Arakpo just comes off the line, beats the tight end inside. Terrell Pryor cannot block him. He was a menace last week against the Miami Dolphins and can do it all.
7 sacks last year, 6 sacks so far this season. 3rd down and 8. Browns 0 for 3 on 3rd downs. Kessler's in trouble. Dances away. Throws on the run. Pass is incomplete, intended for Ricardo Lewis. Parrish Cox was in on the coverage and knocked it away, and the Browns are forced to punt. Jarrell Casey comes out of the pile thinking, man, I'm being held every single time.
But he's getting through. Great penetration to make Kessler get out of the pocket, but there is zero separation, man coverage across the board, and there is absolutely nowhere for Kessler to throw the football. Titans defense with a big 3 and out now, setting up their offense with good field position.
Mariani back deep to receive. It's a good high kick. Mariani calls for the fair catch and comes running up. There is a flag that's sitting at the 16-yard line. It's a 40-yard punt, but we'll see who this penalty is against. They're coming over to talk to Mike Mularkey.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team, 15-yard penalty, half the distance to the goal, replay 4th down.
All right, so Christian Kirksey is called for the face masking penalty. So Hugh Jackson will watch his team back up and have to punt again.
Kirksey is the tackle. You see, grab the face mask
Of Antonio Andrews.
And even worse field position for the Cleveland Browns. Titans are going to be set up. They might get this ball on the other side of the 50.
Mariani, the former Pro Bowler for the Tennessee Titans during his rookie year. He'll stand at his 44. Colquitt gets this one off. Mariani does not call for the fair catch this time, and he is slowed, but gets his bearings and gets up to the 49. Poyer with the special teams tackle. Mariota's had a good first half. He'll have excellent field position when we return, on top by 8. Tonight on CBS, NCIS Los Angeles faces off against an assassin. Don't miss an action-packed new episode tonight after 60 minutes, only CBS. Well, with Adam Archuleta, I'm Tom McCarthy. It's 1st down and 10 for the Titans from the Tennessee 49. Here's Murray. And Murray spins away from one tackler. And look at Mariota out there trying to block. And DeMarco Murray is down inside the 35 to the 34.
When you have your chance in the backfield, you have to make this tackle. And this is what makes him so good this season. His ability to break that tackle, to spin out of it, to get upfield. It's a nice attempt by Mariota. I wouldn't advise that too much. But I guess it's the thought that counts.
He's trying. That is the longest run of the day for DeMarco Murray. Paya had him in the backfield and couldn't contain him. That's Andre Johnson in motion on 1st down for the 35. Murray again, flags come in. Murray was seeking, but nothing was there. Denny Shelton will take him down. He might have gotten a yard. But again, there's a penalty flag that sits inside the 35.
Illegal shift, offense. 2 players in motion, did not reset prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, repeat 1st down.
All right, so that's the second time something like that has happened in this first half. The first time was on the first drive. So that'll move the football back to the 40-yard line. So it'll be 2nd down, or excuse me, 1st down and 15 from the 40. Andre Johnson again on the near side. That is Supernal that's in motion. I formation. DeMarco Murray right up the middle. And he'll get 3 yards before he stops. Danny Shelton, Cam Johnson each make the tackle for the Browns. with 8.5 to play here in the first half. There's Danny Shelton, the second-year pro out of Washington, 12th overall pick a year ago. Came into this ball game with 22 tackles, which was tops on the Browns' defensive line. Browns do not have any rushing yards, but they haven't really utilized the run game so far in this first half. Mariota, middle of the field, tough pass. It was Sharp, the rookie, and he was covered by Demario Davis. It'll be third down.
This isn't what the first few drives have looked like for Tennessee. This drive is just out of sync. You had the pre-snap penalty, the timing is off, you had penetration. You know, Murray tried to make something happen on that run, but not the precision that the offense was running at the first 3 drives of the game.
So it's third down and 12 with under 8 minutes to play. You've got Murray and Henry both in the ball game. Mariota looking to the far side for Delaney Walker, and he overthrows him. Covered out there by Tramon Williams. And it'll be fourth down.
It's a good route by Delaney Walker, and Tramon Williams was the starting cornerback last year for the Cleveland Browns. He plays primarily in the slot in their nickel coverage. He's been out for a few games because of an injury. But again, Walker able to get separation, and Mariota off the mark.
Boy, the Titans really could have put a stamp on this first half if they had put some points on the board. Instead, they'll punt it away. Kern pooches it. Hoyer calls for the fair catch. And he'll catch it at the 8-yard line. So it's just a one-score game with 7:45 to play here in the first half. Cody Kessler back to work when we return. That's a look at some of the delicious food items at the Launch Test Kitchen here at Nissan Stadium, prepared by Chef Andy Little. We got a chance to taste some of that. I had some of the loaded tater tots, of course. Chris Pernetti, our spotter, had some of the buffalo cauliflower, and he said buffalo sauce makes everything good. And a 12-hour hardwood smoked beef stack sandwich, which Adam's going to consume at halftime. Here's Kessler on first down, looking for Hawkins, who makes the catch, but he's out of bounds. So it'll be second down and 10.
That ball looked like it. Did that ball look like it floated?
Did look like it floated a little bit.
That ball was in the air for a long time. Just no room on the sideline as Hawkins tries to tap his feet in bounds, gets both of them. But the position by the cornerback, Bryce McCain, was perfect.
I formation for the Browns. That's Hawkins in motion on second down and 10. Average field position, starting field position today for the Browns has been their 17. Their field position is usually the worst in the league to start. They average at about the 24-yard line, but at the 17 today. And Crowell gets up across the 10 to the 11-yard line. All right, so Kessler's 7 of 8, as you see the field position, but Crowell has really not gotten involved offensively. Obviously, we can see the game plan that Pep Hamilton and Hugh Jackson had here today.
They've been somewhat efficient in the short passing game, and they had the one big play to Barnage. I think it was the first play of the game, but they're going to have to be able to hit the intermediate passing game and the downfield passing game. And sooner or later, this running game has to start to come alive.
They have not converted a third down today, facing a third down here. And Barnage has it knocked away. It was nearly intercepted. Jason McCourty came over to knock it away. I don't know if Kessler's chest plate is bothering him or what, but there doesn't seem like there's a zip on those long passes today.
This is telegraphed the entire way. Kessler stares it down. You got a veteran player out there like McCourty. He's going to jump that, understanding that, you know, our tight end, or that tight end, is one of the big targets on third down. That was a dangerous throw by Kessler.
All right, so 3 straight 3-and-outs, and here's Colquitt again. Mariani back deep to receive. Takes it at the 44, and he has a block. He tries to reverse Fields. That's not always a good idea. Oh, man, what a block by Antonio Andrews as a flag comes in. The flag sits at the 44 and the 46. That is Jordan Poyer, who's down on the field. He took the lick from Antonio Andrews.
During the return, personal foul, blindside block, number 26, return team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, it was a heck of a block just by the looks of it, but it's a blindside block. Here we go. Number 26 is Antonio Andrews, and Jordan Poyer was crunched. Penalty on this return by Mark Mariani. Poyer, who was the special teams player looking to make the tackle, was nailed by Antonio Andrews. Now, it's a blindside hit because Poyer's body was not turned in position to accept the hit, and his head wasn't turned to accept the hit. I mean, it looked unbelievable for Andrews and for the fans here, but fortunately Poyer is okay as he walks off the field.
Yeah, that is a devastating hit because Poyer is running full speed, and then Andrews is also running full speed. When you don't see it, that is ferocious. Now, I think Andrews is going to make a case that he led with his shoulder.
Correct.
And therefore hit him in the front of his body, so that shouldn't be a penalty. But I think there was some incidental helmet-to-helmet contact. Tough play.
Well, and you were one of the harder hitters in the National Football League when you played, so you know all about that and the technique and trying to make sure that that technique is sound. The reaction from the crowd almost immediately, I mean, that's the, from a fan standpoint, that's the kind of play that you want to see, just the action of it. But fortunately, Poyer is okay and off the field. But that's a big piece not in the puzzle for the Browns in their secondary. Tracy Howard checks in for Poyer. Here's Mariota on first down. And Dennis Shelton wraps him up and spins him down. First sack of the year for Danny Shelton.
Little swim move up inside on Ben Jones. How about that for a big man? They wanted him in the offseason to maybe lose a little bit of weight to make him a 3-down player. Because last year he came off the field a lot, especially in the third down situations, but they felt like a guy that can be the focal point in the run game, but also have some athletic ability to get to the quarterback. That was a beautiful swim on the center.
That's only the 8th sack of the year given up by this offensive line. Here's Murray, and he's tracked down from behind. Gabe Wright makes the tackle. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Reports.
They're similar backs. Now, we're talking about, this is 3rd and long, so it's not going to come into play here, but they're similar backs, but we really haven't seen Derrick Henry in the game. Now, Murray has been so good here in the first part of the season. Henry's getting his reps lessened.
Henry is in, and he takes the pass play from Mariota. And he stiff-arms his way up across the 35 to the 36-yard line. It'll be 4th down, and the Titans will be forced to punt. They talked about that a lot this week, that Derrick Henry's time will come. In fact, DeMarco Murray said, listen, I was part of the same kind of process when I was in Dallas early on with Felix Jones. And Henry, to his credit, has done all of the work. And he said when he was at Alabama, he obviously had to play behind guys the first couple of years before he won the Heisman Trophy.
It's a long season, and the way they run the ball, the backs are going to take a pounding. Henry's going to have a chance to make an impact at some point this year.
Duke Johnson back deep to receive this punt. Better off just to let it go after he wasn't able to field it on the big hop. There is a flag on the far side, on the Brown side of the field at the 27.
During the kick, holding. Receiving team number 41. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So Tracy Howard called for the hold. So that backs up the Browns. Next Sunday, it's a doubleheader on CBS featuring 5 games in the early window. We'll be in Miami for Buffalo and the Dolphins, followed by the best matchups of the season, the Patriots at the Steelers. It all starts with JB, Boomer, Tony, Coach, and Bart on the NFL Today. Well, Adam, this is an understatement, but obviously field position has not been the friend of the Cleveland Browns here in this first half.
Not at all, and they have to find a way to be able to flip that. That means getting first downs and being able to climb yourself or crawl yourself out of this hole that you're in. But, they cannot continue to be starting their drives inside the 10-yard line.
Offset I formation, Malcolm Johnson is the fullback. Here is Duke Johnson. And Johnson gets up to the 11-yard line. He is slow to get up.
We talked about Dick LeBeau daring the Browns to throw the ball by bringing the safety down in the box. And I think at some point the Browns are still going to have to run the ball against that defensive look.
There's Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator. We asked him what he wants to see from his defense. He said, I just want to see them keep improving. They certainly did from the year before he took over last year to last season. Duke Johnson looks like he may have gotten helmet to helmet on this tackle. Right there.
He was held up pretty well on his lower body by a couple defenders as well.
Yeah, it looks like the training staff is taking a look at his lower leg. That is a guy that the Browns cannot afford to lose just because of his versatility. Crowell has already checked into the game, and Johnson is up on his feet. All right, well, he looks like he's walking off without any problems. That's a good thing. 4:15 to play here in the first half. It's a one-score game.
Well, big down here for both teams. You know, Cleveland has to try and pick up first downs, and they have to try and pick up first downs, not only on third downs, but also on second downs as well. That's the mark of an offense that can move down the field.
John Coleman is an eligible lineman. He's on the right side. They dump it off to Crowell, and Crowell is able to get the first down up across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Under 4 minutes to play, 3 timeouts left, a gain of 11, plenty of time to work the field if you're the Browns.
Well, again, it comes down to making first downs, and that was the first part of this drive, because the last thing you want to do is punt the ball after a 3 and out and give the Titans a chance as the first half is winding down on their side of the 50-yard line.
Kessler out of the shotgun. Blitz coming from the outside, and now a flag comes in, a false start.
False start, number 80, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Ricardo Lewis, the rookie. Hugh Jackson's just got an itch, but he wouldn't be wrong to scratch his head because penalties have really, hurt and slowed the Browns in this first half. Six penalties, 40 yards in this first half. They average just 60 yards per game in penalties. 3 minutes to play, first half. Kessler to the near sideline, and he has Ricardo Lewis. He's shy of the first down. The clock will continue to wind. Any urgency at all with under 3 minutes now to play and 3 timeouts?
Well, you really have plenty of time. The time's not really an issue. I think they just have to find a way to get down the field. They've been short passing game, that they haven't been able to stretch the field. They haven't really had a chance to put any stress on this secondary for the Titans.
Titans defense, that's 10th in the league in yards allowed per game. Kessler looks behind him, lobs it, and he has Lewis inside Tennessee territory. Parrish Cox makes the tackle at the 30-yard line. That is the strength of Cody Kessler, that little touch pass. And that was a great connection. 42-yard gain. We have reached the 2-minute warning here in Nashville.
This is a 2-minute
It's
warning.
Tennessee 14, the Browns 6, but Cody Kessler and Cleveland are marching forward. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. 2 minutes to play here in the first half. Duke Johnson, who injured his knee earlier in this drive, is back in the backfield. Kessler to throw, looking for the end zone for Pryor. A leaping attempt, incomplete. Parrish Cox breaks it up.
Well, underthrown ball into the inside. Parrish Cox was in perfect position on Pryor. He turns, looks for the football, but that ball has to be more to the upfield shoulder of Pryor. And Cox comes in there, almost tips it to his teammate, the rookie, Kevin Byard. Just well done by the Tennessee defense. Throw has to be more in Pryor's outside shoulder to have a chance.
Kessler now 10 of 13 in this first half. He's made the short plays. It'll be second down and 10 for the 31. Looking left out of the backfield is Duke Johnson. And Johnson stiffs arms out of bounds with 1:47 to play. Still 3 timeouts left. So a world of time, but as you mentioned, got to get the first down.
Well, plenty of time. And this, look what happened on this drive. They started this drive on their own 5-yard line, but it was a big play. And it was off of a broken play to Ricardo Lewis, but that was the spark that gave this offense a chance. And until they can continue to put stress on the Tennessee defense, they're going to have a hard time moving the ball, but they have to be able to capitalize with great field position here for one of the first times in this game.
Third down and 3. Kessler from the shotgun. Throws right, has Barnidge. First down, middle of the field, inside the 15. And he's down to the 11. Avery Williamson makes the tackle. Well, the rookie really does do a nice job keeping his composure.
We see Barnidge hook up right in the middle of the field. Williamson got too much depth, and Kessler hit the tight end.
Oh, he tries to get Pryor. One-handed grab. McCourty makes the tackle out of bounds. Actually, the clock will continue to run. 1:18 to play. Still 3 timeouts left, but they're inside the 10.
How about this grab?
That is a former quarterback. And as we found out, former basketball star. Everybody we talked to from the Browns yesterday was a basketball star. Second down and 6. Under a minute to play in the first half. They're letting a lot of time go off the clock here, but they're inside the 10.
Yeah, no problem. Time is not the issue. You want to try and score here, but you don't want to score to give Tennessee time to do something with it after the after the TD or the field goal.
All right, so the Browns used their first timeout. Play clock
Please
was
set the
winding
game
down.
clock to 47 seconds.
They'll add 2 seconds to the game clock. There's a lot of heat on Hugh Jackson when the Browns selected Cody Kessler in the 3rd round. One thing I've learned from you, though, is that you've talked to me about, what I see, what you see, what another team sees. The team that selects you or signs you can see something totally different.
A lot of success in this league is dictated by getting in with the right staff and the right system and the right environment. There's very few players that are just so talented that they could thrive anywhere. But being a part of a great offensive staff and a great offensive mind, it's a great place for Kessler to get his start.
Second down and 6. Ball's at the 7. They can get a first down, but they're looking for a touchdown. Kessler to the end zone for Pryor. Leaping grab back in the end zone. Touchdown, Cleveland. You don't think he's athletic? Certainly is able to use his frame.
Well, this is equally the ball location from Kessler. Double coverage. The Titans know exactly where he's going to go, but he puts that ball high where Pryor can go up with it. And we already talked about, we saw the one-handed catch. One of the most impressive things about Pryor in this transition to wide receiver is how he is a natural pass catcher with his hands, catching the ball and bringing it down away from his body.
Well, that is a 94-yard drive by the Browns. They don't go for 2. It's too early. They go for 1, and they make it a 1-point game with 40 seconds to play here in the first half.
But Rashad Johnson, the free safety, he knew exactly where they were going to go with that ball, and he was just a hair late getting over the top.
We joked about Terrell Pryor and how good of an athlete he was. I mean, he was obviously in high school, like a lot of professional athletes. He could have played other sports. He committed to go to Pitt to play basketball, decided to go to Ohio State, and he's really embraced this move to wide receiver. We asked him, he said, well, it was either that or I was going to keep going to camp as a backup quarterback, and I didn't want to do that.
The interesting thing is his entire life, he was the elite. He was the guy, the best of the best. In high school as a 2-sport athlete, in college, obviously, at a program like Ohio State, and then you get to the National Football League. It doesn't work out as a quarterback, but for once, he's not the best, and he has to go learn another position and work his way from the bottom. And there's so many impressive parts to his story and his transition to wide receiver.
Mariani back deep to receive this. He'll just go out of the end zone. So this is what we're talking about Terrell Pryor. When he was graduating from high school in 2008, going to Ohio State, he was the top-ranked quarterback. And that's a pretty good class that includes Andrew Luck and a guy that's on his sidelines in RG3.
Everybody seems to talk about, I didn't get a chance to watch him, but him as a basketball player.
Yeah. Well, as we found out, Joe Hayden would be the point guard. Terrell would have to be a 3 or a 4. And Cody Kessler cannot be the point guard, even though he averaged 29.5 points per game. He would have to be the 2 guard because Joe has to lead the points. On first down, here's Mariota. With 39 seconds to play, middle of the field is wide open, but he goes to the sidelines for Kendall Wright, who's been an effective target today. Hey, listen, Titans have 2 timeouts left and 35 seconds left on the clock.
And Mariota excels in this position. 2-minute offense last week against the Miami Dolphins, 5 of 5 with a touchdown. And so he's done it in these situations this season. That's why you don't want to leave him a lot of time, because he has the ability to move his team down the field to get points.
Ryan Succop's long this year, field goal wise, is 48 yards. If you're wondering, Mariota bounces out. He'll throw it away. Flag sits at the 38-yard line with 29 seconds left.
Holding. Number 64 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Josh Klein, the 4th-year pro out of Kent State, called for the hold. And that will stall this drive. There's Ryan Succop. 50 yards or more. He has 12 career made field goals. His long was 54 back in 2011 against the Vikings. He needs to get to the 32-yard line to be comfortable for his range. 2 timeouts left. Mariota setting up the screen, throws it over the head of Murray. Probably the best thing, because there wasn't any kind of lane out there.
I think you have to make a decision right here if you're Mike Mularkey. I think you might want to just run this thing out. You only have 25 seconds left, 2nd and 20. You don't want to try and do anything to give Cleveland any momentum or any chance to do anything right here before halftime. You might have to cut your losses and come out to play the 3rd quarter.
Somebody jumped on the right side of the defensive line, so it's a free play for Mariota. He throws it to Sharp, who's knocked out of bounds by Taylor. It was Tyrone Holmes, number 91.
Offside. Number 91 defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
And he knew it, too. Tell by his body language as he went across the line of scrimmage. 20 seconds left. 2 timeouts for each team. Even though the Titans look crisp early on in this half, they are running their 10th play, which is behind what would be termed the line of scrimmage, which right now would be the 42-yard line, behind the chains. Here's Mariota, steps up in the pocket, throws near side, passes complete to Matthews, who goes out of bounds with 13 seconds left. All right, so they're getting comfortable with time winding down to get into Succop's field goal range to at least get 3 or attempt for 3.
You have to heat up that pass rush a little bit. You're in a 2-minute situation. Now the thing is, you don't want him to get outside the pocket and hurt you with his legs, but you can't allow him to have that much time to scan the entire length of the field and throw a comeback to the other side for a first down.
8 of 16 on first down for the 47. Mariota dancing in the pocket, time winding down, throws left, Sharp in and out of his hands. 7 seconds left. And Mariota was knocked down as he let that pass go.
So you have 2 timeouts, 7 seconds. The average play in the NFL takes about 6 or 7 seconds. So you can go to the middle of the field, but it has to be quick. And it has to happen fast for you to have a chance to call a timeout and also have time to attempt a field goal.
And Mike Mularkey is right next to Tim Pedraza, who's the field judge, and he's going to ask for the timeout if this conversion goes. Mariota 8 of 14. He throws to his left, and out of bounds is right at the 40-yard line with 2 seconds left. Well, they're going to have to run another play. Nope, they're going to try a field goal attempt. So this is going to be a long field goal attempt for Ryan Succop. There's really no elements to speak of Both ends of the stadium are open ends of the stadium. This is going to wind up being a 58-yard field goal attempt. It would be his career high.
Long this year, 48.
Yep.
His only miss was from 50-plus this season.
Bonnie Calhoun is under the goalpost just in case this is short. And it is no good. It had the length, but it's off to the right as time expires.
This is the end of the first half.
Well, it might give Mike Mularkey confidence to try it again later on. So Mariota will have a 1-point lead going into the halftime locker room. Snap was good. The hold was good. The distance was good. And just at the last moment, it went off to the right. Boy, that was awfully close. And Ryan Suckup knows that it just tailed off to the right side. And it's a 1-point lead for the Titans. That's the end of the first half. Titans 14, Browns 13. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Well, game plans have been a little different than what we anticipated, but it's a close ball game. The Titans on top 14-13 over Cleveland as we get set to begin the third quarter. Let's take a look at Who Are You Lovin', presented by McDonald's. This is a 48-yard pass play from Marcus Mariota to Kendall Wright. Now, Wright makes the diving grab about 2 yards shy of the goal line, gets up, and then falls forward. That was one of the big bright spots for the Tennessee Titans. Along with Adam Archuleta, I'm Tom McCarthy. Second quarter was a little different story for the Titans. A little choppier second quarter for Tennessee, which enabled the Cleveland Browns to stay within reach.
Well, they came out and they got the hot start that they've been looking for. That's something they really wanted to do coming into this game. But then in the second quarter, they took their foot off the gas a little bit. The fact that they haven't been able to establish DeMarco Murray has to be a little bit concerning. They have 73 rushing yards. A lot of those are from Mariota on the very first play of the game, and you have to think that that has to be a major part of their focus as they start the second half.
All right, speaking of the first half, let's take a look at these first half statistics. 8 rushing yards for Cleveland. They've decided to go with a short passing game, maybe to protect Kessler from all that pressure for the Tennessee Titans. Time of possession is pretty close. The Browns have to convert more third downs, but I guess you could say that even about the Tennessee Titans as we begin the second half.
You're right. The third downs and the fact that they haven't been able to sustain drives have killed them in this game. Now, I do believe that we didn't see it in the first half. The running game was non-existent. But I do believe with the game close here, coming out of halftime, the Browns are going to start to use that running game more and more and try and keep Tennessee's offense off the field.
By the way, we talk about injuries. Earlier in this game, Jordan Poyer, who is an outstanding safety for Hugh Jackson's team, was hit with a blindsided shot from Antonio Andrews on a punt return, and he is on his way to the hospital. He is being treated for concussion-like symptoms. They'll check him out, and we'll try to give you an update as soon as we get one. It was a nasty hit. So the Browns will get the football to begin the second half. Atkinson lets it go over his head. Let's revisit Arch's angles. What have you liked so far based on your angles?
Well, I would say, for Tennessee's defense, the big plays, only 2 of them, but the last one led to a touchdown right before halftime. Can't allow that, especially when you have him deep. You've seen the job that they've done on DeMarco Murray and the rushing attack. They've executed this flawlessly. Prior, only 27 receiving yards. He's been targeted a few times, but I still feel like he has to have a bigger impact here for the Browns in the second half.
Very athletic on the touchdown reception he had in the first half. Here is Crowell on first down. And Crowell with a flag coming in from behind is tackled from behind by Daquan Jones.
That was a choppy second quarter for both football teams offensively. And one of the reasons for that was the pre-snap or the penalties.
Face mask, number 74, offense. After distance to the goal, repeat first down.
The first down penalties for both teams in the second quarter really kind of stalled their offense. And the Browns were thinking they were going to get decent field position here, at least starting at the 25-yard line. But now, again, they have to start inside the 15 for another drive.
Yeah, they'll mark it at the 12. And now the officials will chat a little bit longer. Carl Cheppers is the referee. It goes half the distance to the goal, so it's marked properly. Kessler out of the shotgun. Kessler 15 of 20 in the first half for 176 yards. And the ball up to Crowell again, and Crowell has a little daylight up across the 20, and he's close to the original line of scrimmage, about a yard from it. Sean Spence makes the tackle.
Backside vision for Crowell, and Titans playing two deep safeties now to start the third quarter. And you see the movement on the left side of that offensive line, and Crowell with his vision sees it and explodes upfield for a big play.
That left side of the offensive line dominated by Joe Thomas, the 10th-year pro out of Wisconsin. The handoff to Crowell again, and Crowell will get across the original line of scrimmage. He only gets a couple. It was Thomas again that freed him, but Klug came in to make the tackle.
Now, one underrated aspect to this offense that they've missed here in the last 2 weeks was the absence of their blocking tight end, Randall Telfer. And that was a key ingredient. Not a lot of love given to the tight ends, but with two teams that lean on and rely on their running game, not having that force next to their tackles has really hurt the running game for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they've got Connor Hamlet, who is more of a blocking tight end. Barnage more of a receiving tight end. It's third down and long. Kessler left side, and his pass is incomplete, intended for Barnage. And the Browns will be forced to punt.
I can only imagine what Cody Kessler is feeling on third downs, because the third down pass rush package from Dick LeBeau and the Tennessee Titans is about as exotic as it gets. They give you a lot of different looks. They stand up their defensive ends everywhere. You never know where they're going to be, and you can see how fast he has to get that ball out of his hands.
Here's Colquitt to punt. Mariani back at his 25. This is going to move Mariani back inside the 20. He'll start from the 19. It was a low punt, and he's up to the 30 before he's taken down. Tank Carter makes the special teams tackle. Titans, first opportunity of the second half when we come back. It was a good start to the day for the Titans, but this is the last four possessions leading into the halftime break. 4, 4, 3, and then 6 before the missed field goal. Let's see if Mariota can start the second half a little crisper than the Titans finished the first half. Sano in motion, and the pitch goes to Murray. Murray running left. Lewan gives him a block. He's up to the 35, now to the 36-yard line. It's a gain of 6. DeMarco Murray, we saw him down on the field before the ball game. He's not a small fella by any stretch of the imagination. He's 6'1". He looks bigger than that. But he runs hard, and he has fit in so nicely here in Nashville. Not only because of his stats on the field, but everything he's done off the field too for the Titans.
He's only listed at 215 pounds, but he looks much bigger. And remember, we think of him as a power back, but he ran 4.4 coming out of college.
Dump it off here, Supernah on the far side of the field, gets inside Cleveland territory, and another flag comes in. Buddy Calhoun makes the tackle. It's a 17-yard gain. Let's see if there's any additions to the game. Hugh Jackson thinks it's going the other way. Well, he certainly had a better view of it.
Personal foul, number 82, of the passing team for unnecessarily contacting an opponent. The result of the play is a first down. It will be 1st and 15 as a result of the play.
All right, so Delaney Walker called for the penalty. Here's the play.
He's on the end of the line of scrimmage. You see a nice delay from Supernah, and it's hard to see exactly what. Oh, there at the end of the play, Delaney Walker came back and he peeled on Derek Kindred after the play, and that's what they called.
Browns already have one player that's on to the hospital, Jordan Poyer, checked for concussion-like symptoms plus a bad chest, checking his chest out as well. It's first down for the 39. And Mariota looking for it all on the near side. He's a diving grab. He's got it.
That is just gorgeous. It starts with pass protection. All the time in the world, and Matthews lays out, hauls it in, secures the catch. That is big-time football. Matthews last week targeted 4 times, had 4 catches, clutch catches, and that's what Mike Mularkey said. They expect him to have that kind of a day every week.
It's a 43-yard gain, and on first down, the pitch goes to Murray, and then they flip it to Sharp, and Sharp cuts back and dives forward. May have gotten to the original line of scrimmage. Roddy Calhoun did a nice job of slowing that before Danny Shelton came in to finish it off. Well, there's no question that Tajae Sharp is fast, so they'd like to get him involved, although they're peeling back his reps a little bit more this week, because the game's getting a little too fast for him, they said.
He started out, he came here in the offseason after he was drafted in the 5th round as an extremely polished college wide receiver and played more like a veteran in training camp. But as it is for a lot of rookies, the season is a much different thing.
There's Mariota, who slides down inside the 10. In fact, they'll mark him right at the edge of the 10-yard line.
Carl Nassib, the rookie, is in a bind right here. He's going to come inside because he doesn't know exactly who has the ball and chase the running back inside. Mariota has been doing this for a long time, going back to his days at Oregon, reads it perfectly, gets that feel for a positive play.
4 carries, 56 yards for Mariota. Murray is stretched out to the far side. He's in motion right now. And on third down, Mariota's going to keep it himself. He's got a first down, angling toward the pylon, out of bounds, inside the 5. Murray with a nice block on Carl Nassib to give Mariota a little extra room to run.
Really what does this is the block outside by Sharp. He gets the key block, number 19, and he's originally what seals it. And then you have Conklin.
Number 71.
He's able to get down the field.
Number 71 is an eligible receiver.
But that's something they did extremely well last week. Their perimeter blocking by tight ends and wide receivers, and they've carried it over here on this drive.
Well, they've got an extra lineman left side of the offensive line, Dennis Kelly, number 71. The handoff to Murray, left side into the end zone, bouncing in for a touchdown. Well, he loves to run left, and he is tough to bring down.
Extra tackle in the game. Dennis Kelly comes over to join Lewan over there on the left side. And Lewan, being their best run blocker this season, gets a terrific down block. Klein kicks it out, and then Murray is able to go downhill with his shoulder square.
For Murray, that's his 4th touchdown run of the season. And his 6th overall. Now Ryan Suckup is on for the point after with 9:33 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is good. Well, the Titans scored on their first possession to start the game. They score on their first possession to start the second half. Back here in Nashville, where the Titans just scored after a 7-play, 70-yard drive. DeMarco Murray, a 3-yard touchdown run. And it's 21-13, Titans on top. And a kickoff by Ryan Suckup. Atkinson back deep to receive. It's over his head. Saturday, the best game for the best conference will feature a battle of undefeated teams, with Texas A&M heading to Tuscaloosa to take on the top-ranked Crimson Tide. The festivities start with college football today. Alabama took apart Tennessee yesterday, much to the delight of Derrick Henry. How about Joe Hayden told us that he coached Derrick Henry in a camp when Henry was a junior in high school, and he told Joe Hayden, he goes, I'm going to go to Alabama to be a running back. What did Joe Hayden say?
He said, there's no way. If you're going to go play at that size, if you're going to go play running back at Alabama, I'm going to watch you because I have to see this.
And now he's in the National Football League. That's Hawkins in motion on first down from the 25. Kessler under pressure, and he is going down. Brian Orakpo. You don't know where they're going to line up. These guys are all over the defensive line.
Yeah, both sides. At the top, Orakpo. At the bottom, Morgan. Morgan with the bull rush, and Orakpo beats Joe Thomas. The left tackle with speed gets around him and gets to Kessler. Kessler had zero chance. Now that's the thing you cannot do against this defense. You cannot get into a predictable passing down because they have guys that can ruin your afternoon.
7 sacks already for Orakpo. That's what he had last year. That ball is deflected, incomplete. Jarrell Casey got his paw up. And he came out with a little Dikembe Mutombo saying,
Number 99 engaged with Greco and just gets the left arm up for a batted pass. And again, you just cannot allow a defense to get this kind of an energy off of big plays. 3rd and long, backed up, bad situation to be in right here against a defense that's feeling it.
On 3rd down and 20. Kessler, middle of the field. Johnson. He's not going to get it all back. Up to the 29-yard line. 6 yards shy. Well, that's a nice job by the Titans off the touchdown to get the stop and possibly decent field position after this punt.
Well, how about the way they've come out here in the 3rd quarter? You know, not a very good 2nd quarter. They had the big touchdown pass to Kendall Wright, but since that play, their offense really kind of stalled. And I think it's got to be very encouraging offensively that you've been able to hit big plays in this game, something that has not been a part of your offense, but the defense now doing their part as well, giving it back to the offense.
Mariani standing at his 22. Colquitt gets it off. It's a nice high booming kick. Mariani inside the 20. And out of bounds at the 27-yard line. 7:50 to play here in the 3rd quarter. The Titans defense stepping it up after the 8-yard return. The offense will get it back when we come back. With NFL Game Pass, replay the games you missed with condensed games in 45 minutes or full broadcast versions. Get the new midseason offer today at NFL.com/Game Pass. Browns back on defense. Tracy Howard continues to play for the injured Jordan Poyer. Poyer taken to the hospital with concussion-like symptoms, but also an abdominal injury that is being checked out. Gain of 8 on that run by DeMarco Murray. Poyer was hit in the first half to try to cover a punt.
Another underrated aspect to this offense, Supernaw, the tight end, has that undrafted mentality, is going to lead the way and seal the block, hit the block right there, and allow Murray to escape Kirksey going to the outside.
Well, Murray now 13 carries for 42 yards. Don't forget, he was in the negatives after the 1st quarter. Averaging just over 3 yards per carry. He'll get it again. Oh, he's got a nice block on the right side, up across the 40 to the 42. Jalston Fowler, his fullback, led the block. Let's go to New York with an update with JB, Coach Cowher.
Boy, New England, they find a way.
Tom Brady's 3rd touchdown pass of the day. 2nd touchdown pass to James White. He's 14 of his last 15, and New England leads 25-14.
The machine. Back to Tom and Adam.
Well, he certainly is a machine. Adam is not happy that he did not pick up James White on his fantasy football team. He does have Gronkowski, though. That's helpful. It's first down from the 42. Murray and Henry both in the backfield. They did this a lot last week against the Dolphins. Off the play fake, Mariota. He's hit behind the line of scrimmage and taken down. Ogba, the rookie out of Oklahoma State.
Perfectly played, exactly. Watch how Ogba keeps his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage and then redirects down the line and then closes the gap for Mariota before he can make the play. That's a big guy, 6'4", 275 pounds. And you can see how athletic he is coming off that edge.
Came to the United States from Nigeria at the age of 9. Went to Oklahoma State because of Russell Okun. Suggested it. Turned out to be the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in 2014 and 15. It's second down. Mariota. Somebody lost their shoe again. What is going on here today? Mariota slips away from a possible sack and then stumbles out of bounds. Demario Davis was chasing him down. Well, this time it's Schobert who lost his spike. Adam, they've got to tie these shoes up a little bit better.
And Mariota's fast. It makes you got to run out your shoes to be able to catch Schobert here at the bottom, number 53. Trying to get a rush and slips out. Good recovery, however, by the Cleveland defense, running after Mariota. Demario Davis running him out of bounds and negating a big play.
Third down and 12. That was Walker in motion, the tight ends. Henry's open on the near side. They find him on the near side. Makes one man miss, still on his feet, and he's up to the 47.5-yard line. Davis again comes in to clean it up. Kirksey was there as well. And the Titans will be forced to punt. So a nice defensive stand by the Browns.
A much needed defensive stand, especially after the way the third quarter started. You get the big play down the field from Mariota to Matthews, and then the defense came out on fire, putting pressure on Kessler. And that's exactly what you have to do as a defense, is stop the bleeding and give your offense a chance.
Duke Johnson back deep to receive. Johnson calls for the fair catch at the 6-yard line. Well, field position has not been great for Cody Kessler, but he'll get the ball back down by 8 when we return. Last week, a group of Titans players, Jay Samaro, Philip Supernaw, and Johnston Fowler, spent the day meeting a variety of new parents, posing for pictures and chatting with different families and newborns at St. Thomas Hospital in Nashville. On first down, Isaiah Crowell stopped by Damian Stafford. All right, so not great field position again for Hugh Jackson's team.
Not at all, but you have to help yourself out. They fair caught the punt on the 5-yard line, and you've got to let that ball go in the end zone. Now, the normal rule of thumb is to never go past the 10-yard line on a punt, but now you're going to your offense. You're going to cost your offense 15 yards.
And now it's second down and long. Under 3:40 to play, third quarter. Pryor with a pass complete. McCourty in on the coverage. It's another short gain. That's been a lot of the passing game today for Cody Kessler.
The Titans have also tackled well. I think if there's one place, they've struggled at this year is tackling after the catch. But even with this passing game, they may allow the completion, but they're not letting the yards after the catch. And another third down. Browns terrible in the first half, only 1 of 6 on third downs. Again in a tough spot on their 10-yard line.
Third down and 6. They need to get to the 16-yard line. Here comes the blitz from the near side. Flags come in, and the play has been blown dead. Andrew Hawkins may have moved. Number 16.
Ball start, number 16, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Well, that certainly doesn't help your third down percentage when you get backed up even more with penalties.
Now, that's the second time today a wide receiver, Hawkins here on the left side. He flinches because Bryce McCain is blitzing off the edge. But that's the second time a wide receiver. The other time it was Ricardo Lewis in the first quarter that they've jumped off sides and cost their offense 5 yards.
All right, so now it's third down and 11. Again, they need to get to the 16 for first down. 3 receivers near side. Flags come in. The play clock was winding down, and he did not get the play off.
Delay of game, offense. Half the distance to the goal, third down.
You ask Hugh Jackson, he feels like his team is moving in the right direction, but they are still a young team. Not that this is a young team. These are mistakes made by all of the youngsters, but they're mistakes nonetheless.
And you can't have the self-inflicted mistake. This drive started because of a decision to fair catch the punt on the 5-yard line.
Tough spot from his end zone. The handoff is given to Johnson. Johnson stays on his feet. He lost his shoe again. And he's up to the 9-yard line. I think somebody's got to bring some Velcro down there. Or maybe some medical tape or something.
This is really your only choice when you're in this situation. I mean, you have to run a draw and just try and get something back on this, but the chances of picking up a first down after that terrible start to your series, pretty much zero.
So Mariani in a good spot at his 41. He has 5 punt returns so far. Titans defense is tightened up. It's the 5th 3 and out this afternoon. Mariani calls for the fair catch. They'll mark it at the 44. Titans up by 8. Excellent field position again when we return. Just over minutes of play here in the third quarter in Nashville. 8-point lead for the Titans, 1:13 to play here in the third quarter. Last drive was an excellent drive for Tennessee to set up the score.
Their offense today has been defined by big plays. Big block by Andre Johnson to get a positive run for Murray. And then play action pass, launching it down the field. Rashard Matthews with a beautiful diving catch. And then let's run behind Taylor Lewan and Dennis Kelly on that left side. Really well done coming after halftime, but they've feasted on big plays. When they've had to sustain drives, they've really struggled here in this game.
From the 44-yard line, here's Derrick Henry on first down. And Henry out of bounds up to the 47-yard line. Gain of 3. Derrick Henry, who's not scored a touchdown in the National Football League. He ran for 3,591 yards at Alabama, 42 touchdowns, and shares the Heisman Trophy with Marcus Mariota.
And it's not that he hasn't been playing well. He's been a beast when he's had a chance to get in the offense, but of course it's hard to take Murray out of the lineup. But he averaged almost 8 yards a carry last week against the Dolphins.
He'll get it again. And he's to midfield. It's a gain of 3. 35 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Mike Mularkey did say that he probably could have used him more last week in that Dolphins game. He said, but that's kind of on him. But he'll get his time as the season moves on. Like you say, it's a long year.
Long year. 2 big backs, and especially now, you start winning some games maybe, and you get in December and November. Pretty handy to have 2 giants in the backfield.
Well, this will be the final seconds of the third quarter. The Titans with the football, an 8-point lead facing a third down. When we get back, they lead at 21-13. We'll return to Nashville after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. We get set to begin the fourth quarter. You see the score by quarter. The Titans up by 8, 21-13. It's another tight day in the National Football League. It's a third down and 4 for Tennessee. Henry remains in the game. And Mariota's under pressure, gets away, still running away, and throws on the run across the field, and it's intercepted by the Browns. Tramon Williams makes an unbelievable diving grab in front of Sharp. And the Browns will take over to start the fourth quarter. Look at Joe Hayden.
I think it's pretty obvious that you can't do this if you're Mariota, and I believe we're going to watch him as he escapes the pocket and gets outside the containment of the Browns defense, that he would have had a chance to run for a first down here. Maybe it would have been close, but he had a block by his receiver, Tajae Sharp. And that's just a no-brainer. He knows that he can't make that pass, but what a play by Tramon Williams to give his football team a much-needed break and finally some decent field position to start their drive.
Joe Hayden, who's out with a groin injury. It's been a groin injury that's bugged him for a lot of this year. Inactive this afternoon. Well, it was Sharp, as Adam mentioned, was blocking upfield. All right, so now for Cody Kessler and the Browns, down 8, 21-13 with 14:45 to play here in the fourth quarter. They have had awful field position.
We'll review the play.
This play and every turnover, every scoring play is reviewed, so they will review this, and we will break it down when we get back. Right now, the Browns have the football, 14:45 to play here in the fourth quarter. Well, this is the interception. Right now, it's listed as an interception. Here's Carl Cheffers.
Now Cleveland.
So the catch is good. Adam, we looked at it over and over during the timeout. It was nothing to overturn that. It looked like he had it cradled nicely.
It looked like he caught the ball with his hands and cradled it with his arms and then rolled under it. Good play, much needed play. Now, if you're the Cleveland Browns and you have the ball at the 40-yard line, you have to be able to capitalize on that good fortune.
Best field position by 15 yards to start for the Browns. Kessler in trouble, and he's going down inside the 35 at the 34-yard line. The whole host of guys there. Avery Williamson was the final guy to wrap him up and take him down.
And this really shouldn't happen. They're trying to set up a double move to Pryor. This is maximum protection. This is an 8-man protection by the Cleveland Browns to try and buy time to get Pryor down the field, and the Titans just swarm the pocket and get Kessler down.
Woodyard was there as well. 3 sacks today. He's been hurried 12 times. So he's been under pressure on second down. He's going long to the near side of the field for Pryor, and it's out of bounds. Pryor did make the catch, but it was disrupted by Jason McCourty, who is still, at the age of 29, an excellent cover man.
This is the one area where Pryor wants to get better in his vertical stem on the route. Watch how McCourty squeezes him all the way to the sideline. There's no room to adjust for the football. And that's the thing that Pryor said that he wanted to work on more as a receiver downfield, is once he gets that initial release, to get back on top and not allow the DB to squeeze him to the sideline. That was perfect technique by McCourty on a rookie wide receiver.
Only 1 third down conversion today for the Browns, facing a 3rd and 15. They need to get to midfield at least. Kessler has time, steps up, fires middle of the field, and it's incomplete. Ricardo Lewis had it, but could not hang on. Parrish Cox was in on the coverage, and the Browns have to punt it away.
Yeah, rookie from Auburn, the burner from Auburn, and this is when you got to make a play. Key 3rd down situation. You got separation. You're falling to the ground, but that one hits you right in the breadbasket. And you talk about capitalizing and making that key play to help you win games. That's when you have to come down with.
Perfectly thrown football, too. So now Colquitt would punt. Marietti's back deep to receive, and this is a good punt. Marietti lets it go over his head, and it bounces into the end zone. Good by distance, but Titans will have it at the 20 when we return. Cody Kessler will take a break. Well, this has been the case throughout the course of the National Football League. 58 games within 1 score in the 4th quarter through week 5. This is since 1970. We've got 5 today and counting last Thursday night that are 1-score games. It's been an impressive run for the National Football League. Here's Mariota for Delanie Walker, who makes the sliding grab outside the 40 to the 41. Gain of 21 yards.
Everybody expecting run, and Delanie Walker is going to release to the corner route. And the blocking up front gives Mariota plenty of time, and he beautifully lays out a pass for Delanie Walker.
That is the first catch of the day for Delanie Walker. The 41, it's first down. Mariota 13 of 20 through the interception on the last series. But he's talked about his numbers here at home. That was his 13th interception here at home. And he recognizes it and knows his team needs to be better here in Nashville. They have such a good fan base. Danny Shelton makes the tackle for the Browns.
Well, there's one thing you can say today about Cleveland's defense is the front 7 has held up their end of the bargain. Now they let Mariota
has reported.
They let Mariota have the big play on the first play of the game, but it's really been the secondary allowing the big plays down the field that have led to all 3 touchdowns for the Titans.
126 yards on the ground for the Titans. Here's Murray. He does not have a majority of them. It's Mariota that does. Kirksey makes the tackle, a gain of 1. 3rd down and 5. Well, this is what the Titans have done here at home. They've lost 14 of the last 15 games here at home. Their only win was against Jacksonville. Mike Mularkey understands it. He knows it. People here in Nashville have talked about it. Today would go a long way. Not only would it give them 2 straight wins overall, but it would also move them to 500. in a division that is up for grabs.
But they're just looking for 2 in a row. Whether it's home or away, that's the key.
A 3rd down and 5. Kendall Wright open for a first down out of bounds inside Cleveland territory. Buddy Calhoun, who's playing for the injured Joe Hayden, in on the coverage. It's a 13-yard gain. Wright well over 100 yards today.
Yeah, they're going to bring Kendall Wright inside the numbers to run a speed out, and has the entire width of the field to work on the cornerback, the rookie Buddy Calhoun, and great timing from Mariota to pick up the first down. Big game here at home for Kendall Wright.
6 catches, 118 yards. Andre Johnson in motion. And it's DeMarco Murray. Murray up or down to the 36-yard line, a gain of 4. Jamie Meter makes the tackle. Got an 8-point lead. You're trying to chew up the clock. You are trying to get more points, but it's a nice weapon to have if you have DeMarco Murray, if you can get him going.
Yeah, I mean, a team built like the Titans, I mean, we're not anywhere near 4-minute offense, but you do have the lead here in the 4th quarter with just about 11 minutes to go. Now, they have not been able to run the ball here today. But if they want to try and close out this game, the running game is going to have to be a big part of it.
Strong side is the left side of the offensive line. Murray goes right side, though, and gets a few more. It'll be 3rd down. Christian Kirksey again makes the tackle on DeMarco Murray.
The secondary here, it's going to be 3rd and short. 2 things you have to look out for. Number 1, key situation. Tennessee needs a first down. You've got to watch the quarterback run. It's the most difficult play to cover in this 3rd and short situation.
Got a bunch formation off to the left side. That's Murray in motion on 3rd down. To the backfield. Mariota looking left, throwing left. Has Kendall Wright. First down, out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Williams in on the coverage.
Well, this time they put Williams on Kendall Wright, number 13, in press man, and there was just that subtle little nudge from Andre Johnson that just clipped the shoulder of Williams, and that's what allowed the separation by Wright. So a veteran move by Johnson to spring Wright for the first down.
Keeps the clock moving, under 10 minutes to play. This is a 4-minute-plus drive for the Titans. The pitch to Murray, sweeping left, slowed initially, and then out of bounds, right inside the 25-yard line. Haya makes the tackle for the Browns.
Yeah, somehow, if you're Cleveland, you've got to make a play here. Tennessee is doing exactly what they want to do. They're just going to grind this out. Of course they want to score, but the clock is more important. They want to pick up first downs. At the end of this drive, they want to make this a 2-score ball game or more. But Cleveland's got to find a way to get the ball out of the back's hands and force a turnover here to give them a chance.
See the difference between Murray on the ground compared to the Browns overall. On 2nd down, Murray again hitting the backfield, slowed, and slips his way to the 26. So no gain on the play. In fact, a loss of 1.
Something to build off for Cleveland. Up front, we talked about all the new faces on this defense. A lot of the stars, a lot of the big playmakers who have been here for so long are gone, and now it's up to the young players to sit here and try and make a name for themselves. Ibrahim Campbell coming up there on a blitz from the strong safety spot and getting to Murray in the backfield.
Well, they've converted 3rd downs today. They're facing a 3rd down and 8. They're within field goal range, but they'd like a little bit more. Mariota just converted a moment ago to Kendall Wright, and he converts again to the 15-yard line. It's the 3rd conversion of this drive.
Yeah, and it's not even fair. This is a zone pressure. Tyrone Holmes, an outside linebacker, defensive end, number 91, is going to come up here and try and play Kendall Wright man for man. Now they have Tramon Williams over the top, but that's a mismatch all the way. And I think in this game, Mariota to Wright is about as good as chemistry that we've seen this season from Mariota and any of his wide receivers.
Well, this is the 11th play of the drive. We mentioned they've converted 3 3rd downs. Here's Murray, who is smacked right at the 15. So no gain on the play. Tonight, it's one of the most debated issues of the election. Are Syrian refugees coming to the U.S. without proper vetting? Find out on 60 Minutes tonight.
It's about as good a drive, I think, as you could ask for if you're Mike Mularkey. You know, after throwing an interception, your defense gives the ball back to you. You're grinding it out. You're converting on third downs. You're milking time off the clock. Extremely well done by the offense.
That was sharp in motion off the play fake. Mariota left side. Fasano's got it into the end zone. Touchdown Titans. First touchdown reception of the year for Anthony Fasano.
Fasano block, and then he's going to sneak back across the field. Plenty of time. The linebackers over pursuing. You've seen them be extremely aggressive throughout this game and on this last drive, attacking the run. And a beautiful play call by Terry Robisky to take advantage of that aggressive Cleveland Brown defense and punch it in for a touchdown.
15-yard pass play, 11 plays, 65 yards, and now Succop for the point after. And his point after is good. A 15-point lead, 28-13. Fasano had not gotten into the end zone this year. He gets a chance here today. I know this, but that man right there, Anthony Fasano, has 34 touchdown receptions since 2006. That's 12th among tight ends in the National Football League. He just picked up one that culminated a 12-play, 80-yard drive. Succop to kick off. And the Browns down by 15. You've got to get something rolling here offensively. Thursday, your weekend starts here with a classic NFC North rivalry game at Lambeau Field. The Bears at the Packers. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. Brian Hoyer is one of the 20 quarterbacks that has been under center. Well, Joe Thomas has been a member of the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have been outscored 81-23 in the second half. Obviously, not all is lost in Cleveland. They've got the Cavaliers won the championship. The Indians are up 2-0 over the Blue Jays in the American League Championship Series. But here today, they're down by 15 with only 6:43 to play in the fourth quarter. Kessler near side, incomplete, intended for Johnson. Well, Cody Kessler, the starting quarterback right now. Josh McCown, who's inactive again today. There's a chance he starts playing even more this week in practice. Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be a decision for the Browns as to what they're going to do. They've got RG3, who possibly could come back at some point this year. I wonder what the Browns will do as they move forward. Because Kessler has looked pretty good here today, and at times has looked very good since taking over as the starter. Near side, and Terrell Pryor has it. I mean, let's see where they mark him. It looks like they're going to mark him right at the first down yard line.
Tom, I think when you look at the quarterback position here, you know, Kessler has done a fine job when he's been in managing the offense. I'm not quite sure they're concerned at this point with what's going to happen with the quarterback position next season. I think what they want to do is try and find a way to get a win and let these guys in the locker room understand the process and understand what it feels like to get a win, and all the quarterback stuff and everything will play out. But playing fundamental football and winning games is a first priority for Hugh Jackson and the Cleveland Browns.
It's also a priority to get a first down here in 3rd down and a half yard. Kessler, quick drop, slant pass to Pryor, incomplete. It'll be 4th down. So it's decision time, down by 15 with 5:48 to play here in the 4th quarter.
I'm a little surprised. I know they have a lot of respect for the Titans front seven, but they have completely gone away from the run game. And you'd say 3rd and short you would have had to think that Isaiah Crowell should have had a hand in that.
Absolutely.
But they try and throw a slant to Pryor, well covered by the Titans.
Well, they've got Duke Johnson in the offset I formation on 4th and half a yard. Off the play fake, Kessler under pressure, gets away, throws the other side of the field, and it's caught! Pryor went over the top of the defender to make the first down reception. Damian Stafford, I thought, was there, and Kessler really took a hit as he let that one go.
They're trying to get Pryor one-on-one the entire way. This is a one-man route, and Pryor, halfway through the down, breaks free. But it was a heads-up play. I think that's Damian Stafford who sinks underneath it and recovers, and then Pryor outfights Stafford for the football. So that was an unusual play all the way around. Heads up by Stafford. Big play by Pryor.
On first down, here's Johnson, and Johnson down to the 46 of Tennessee. 4:55 to play here in the fourth quarter. Kessler told us yesterday, he said, I just can't get hit. Well, he got hit here.
Oh, my goodness. Jarrell Casey. You know that has to hurt right in the gut. But that was a big play, much needed.
Time is not on their side, but if they can get a score here, then they might be able to make something happen. Kessler under pressure, breaks away. Still on his feet, stumbling forward. It'll be third down. He loses 2. Rashad Johnson will finish him off.
I think you do, Tom, have to be impressed with Kessler. You know, understanding the situation, the fact that, you know, up until a few weeks ago, he had never thrown balls to the starting wide receivers and been a part of the starting offense. You know, he wasn't supposed to be a quarterback or play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns this year, but I think he's done a pretty good job of minimizing the bad play and doing everything he can to put their team in the best position to move the ball down the field.
He's been sacked 5 times today. It's third down and 6. They just converted a third down. Middle of the field. Pass is complete for Hawkins. There is a flag, though, that sits at the 38 of Tennessee. The clock stops. 3:42 to play here in the fourth quarter.
Prior to the pass, holding number 55 defense. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, first down.
So they'll take the 16-yard gain. So Dick LeBeau's defense giving a little freedom here for the Browns. Again, the scoring, it's a 15-point lead. So Hugh Jackson's going to need 2 touchdowns, but he's going to need at least 1 2-point conversion. And he'll have to have all that in 3 minutes and 42 seconds with a bow on it. Kessler, far side, Barnidge. And Barnidge is run out of bounds. The clock continues to run. Bayard is there in the coverage.
Yeah, going back to that last third down, that was a big-time play for the offense. The protection up front, picking up the blitzing and the stunting Tennessee's Titans defense, and Kessler standing in the pocket, stepping up and hitting Hawkins coming open over the middle was outstanding.
Clock continues to run. 3:15 to play. Kessler throws on the run, and it's incomplete. Again, Ricardo Lewis can't hang on. It looked like the Browns may have gotten away with a hold as Kessler was rolling out.
Not much to say. You've got to have this catch. Ricardo Lewis having a tough day. False start early in the game. Had a chance to convert on third down early, and this one right in the hands, wide open on the sideline. Got to make that play.
One of 4 receivers selected in this past year's draft by the Browns. It's third down and 7. I think they're going to have to use a timeout, and they will. They just didn't seem like they knew the formation or the personnel. And they have to get it right. They're down by 2 scores. They need to get that first one, though, as we move on. Back here in Nashville, a little more than 3 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. A huge third down opportunity for the Browns. They're down by 15. They have 2 timeouts left plus the 2-minute warning.
I don't think. Is Terrell Pryor in the game?
I don't see him. Pryor is not in the game. He's on the sidelines. We've got movement on the right side of the offensive line. Pastor.
Number 67, offense. 5-yard penalty, Third down.
All right, so now Pryor comes in. You a little surprised by that he wasn't in on third down?
Shocking.
Even if he's a decoy?
I couldn't. I mean, I guess in a sense, they were bailed out by the false start because now Pryor's in the game. He is their best chance of converting this, but now
Right.
instead of, third and medium, it's going to be a third and long situation. So kind of a bizarre sequence.
Third
for Cleveland offense.
Third false start of the season for Pastor. And on third down and long, Kessler dumps it off. And Lewis is short of the first down. But this is 4-down territory. So this is the ball game, or at least the opportunity for a ball game right here. Because if you're the Browns, you got to score 1 to worry about 2.
Yeah, there's just not enough time to try and do what they want to do. A lot of trust in Lewis over the middle to try and put them in a 4th and 5.
I mean, the clock continues to run. They've got to hurry up a little bit here, even though the goal is to get 1 to then worry about the second. Kessler 21 of 33, 251 yards on 4th down. Play clock at 7. Here comes the pressure. Steps up. Rolling right. Throws on the run. Pass is complete to Hawkins, who's out of bounds at the 5-yard line. If you like drama, that was a huge pass completion of 22 yards.
This is Cody Kessler just going out there and making a play. You're going to see a delayed blitz by Sean Spence. Number 55 get the initial pressure. Klug is chasing him down, but outside the pocket, he identifies Hawkins coming open over the middle and delivers a clutch pass to get the first down. Now they have to hurry.
2:14 left to play. Second 4th down conversion of this drive. 4 receivers to the near side. On 1st and goal, just outside the 5. Kessler just throws it up for grabs, and it is out of bounds. Parrish Cox made a nice leaping grab, but he was well out of bounds. Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show.
Well, now you're at a place, if you're the Browns, because of the proximity of the 2-minute warning. If you do score here, the onside kick is probably your best option.
Yep.
If you would have scored with more time on the clock, you could have used the 2-minute warning and your timeouts, and you may have been able to kick it deep and count on stopping him at 3 downs.
13th play of the drive. Touchdown, Cleveland. Kessler is nailed as he lets that one go, and Terrell Pryor with his second touchdown reception of the game. Now, what do? Is it 1 or 2?
I think you have to go 1 here to give yourself a chance. Perfect slant, a natural pick, bumps off Parrish Cox and allows Pryor to come under. But here, I think you go for 1 here, because if you don't get it, then you're virtually, it's going to be tough.
So they're going to go for 2. I know you think they should go for 1 here.
You're putting all your chips in the middle of the table right here.
Yep.
And you're saying, this is going to be our ball game. And we're going to go out there and try and win and be aggressive. Certainly not the safe play. See how it works out.
2:07 to play, looking for 2. Kessler, he's under pressure, doesn't realize it, now dances away, looking to throw. End zone, incomplete. 2-point conversion, no good. And the Titans lead it by 9 with 2:07 to play here in the 4th quarter. Well, the decision to go for 2 instead of 1 means, with 2:07 to play, it doesn't, at this point, it means that the Titans will win this ball game.
Yeah, if you go for 1, which isn't always a sure thing, but if you go for 1, now the onside kick, if you get the onside kick, now you're in play. And you can go down the field, score, and you still have to get the 2-point conversion. But now you miss it, you don't get the extra point, and there's essentially, you need 2 more possessions.
Correct.
To be able to win this game. It's going to be under 2 minutes with only 2 timeouts. Aggressive call.
And there's so much psychologically too. If you go for 1 there, you make it a 1-possession game. You still have to go for 2 eventually. But if you recover the onside kick, you score, momentum is on your side if you're the Cleveland Browns.
He has to be thinking that if they got the 2-point conversion, they would have went for the win had they got the ball back. Putting his players, his team, in a chance to go for a win. in regulation had to be his thought process, but now makes it very difficult.
5 years to the day since the last onside kick was converted by the Browns, and Parkey will chip this one, and it's loose, and it's recovered by Cleveland at the 37-yard line with 2:07 to play, and now the decision to go for two previously looms even worse for the Browns.
Please set the game clock to 2:05. 2:05 on the game clock, please.
That was an aggressive play by Rashad Johnson on the hands team to go and attack that ball before it went 10 yards. And because he touched it before it went 10 yards, now the Browns and the onside kick team are allowed to recover that football. But yeah, we talked about that decision. I mean, your only choice is maybe try and get a quick field goal and do another onside kick.
Interesting.
But it has to happen fast.
First down for the 38. Crowell in the backfield. Kessler drops back to pass, throws to the right side, and his pass is caught. Jordan Payton with his first reception of the day. They say it's a good catch at the 37-yard line, a 25-yarder. We've reached the 2-minute warning. Jordan Payton just made a reception on the far side of the field that Mike Mularkey is challenged with 1:56 to play. Now, it's not a booth challenge or an official's challenge. It's at the 2-minute warning or above, so that's why Mularkey has to challenge it.
And you see his left foot hits the ground
there.
But before the right foot, and he can establish possession, the left hand goes out of bounds. Therefore, it's going to be overturned.
After review, only one foot came down in bounds before the hand came down out of bounds. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 38-yard line. Tennessee will not be charged with a timeout.
All right, so an excellent challenge by Mike Mularkey. Now, from here on in, there are no coaches' challenges. Everything is signaled from the booth. The officials will take a look without any red flags being thrown. Now, that's a big play, obviously, because now it's 2nd down from inside Cleveland territory. Again, they decided to go for 2 on their last touchdown with 2:07 to play. They failed to do it, so now they're down by 9. They need 2 scores. They need a touchdown and a field goal in a very small window of time. Kessler today, 23 of 36. Dumps it off to Johnson. Johnson away from McCourty inside Tennessee territory. Now to the middle of the field. And Jarrell Casey takes him down at the 34-yard line. All right, so they've got to think about their timeouts here because they need 2 scores.
Yeah, I think you have no choice. The only choice here is to score quickly, and you're going to have to get another onside kick.
Right.
I don't know if a timeout or saving your timeouts.
Well, whatever
really
it is,
does you any good.
They got to be faster though to get up to the line here because there's too much time going off the clock. It's first down for the 34. Kessler runs away and just throws it away. There's just too much time that went off the clock there to get that play off. If the thought is I need 2 more scores.
Yeah, I would be in agreement there. You know, one thing I'll say, Cody Kessler, this is his 4th start, and I think he's looked very good today. With a limited playbook, he has consistently put his team in a good situation. You've seen how well he's been able to improvise, and when he gets outside the pocket, and really just kind of having a winner's attitude, a winner's mentality, and making big plays and big throws in key moments. Now, his receivers have let him down a little bit, but I think this has been a terrific game by Kessler.
Over 300 yards on 2nd down. Pryor is out. The throw to the near side is complete, and then out of bounds is Rashard Higgins, the rookie from Colorado State. Gain of 14. Here comes Pryor. He caught his breath.
But you still need 2 possessions.
2 scores. I mean, do you think about kicking a field goal here and then onside kick to try to get it again? I know it's probably harder to get the touchdown, but
I think you try and score a touchdown.
Still 2 timeouts left. Kessler is nailed down at the 30-yard line. Derek Morgan came slicing in, and now a timeout called by Cleveland.
Second charge timeout, Cleveland. A 30-second timeout.
Derek Morgan just slices right through the Cleveland Browns. He knocks Cameron Ervin on his backside, who offered zero presence as Morgan was sprinting his way to Kessler. Big sack in a key moment.
Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show. 6 sacks today by the Titans. I guess it's becoming a common occurrence for Dick LeBeau's defense.
You know, one thing that Mike Mularkey said about the Cleveland Browns is he knew no matter what happened, it was going to be 60 minutes of football, that they have no quit, and they would have to play an entire game because of the job that Hugh Jackson and his staff has done with this football team.
Well, it's certainly the right assessment here, even though they're down by 2 scores. It's second down. Kessler under pressure again, lets it fly, has Pryor. Now Pryor goes the wrong way backward, but he's dragged out at the 15. And a flag comes in. Was there a horse collar at the end? That may be the penalty against the Titans. Nameplate and above is a horse collar.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle. Number 24 defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic. First down.
You can clearly see Stafford's right hand on the nameplate. But Derek Morgan absolutely rocks Kessler as he gets rid of that football. They still don't have an answer. It's the same play he got on the sack the play before. They have identified something on that protection, but Derek Morgan is sprinting to Kessler on every snap.
First and goal from the 7. 48 seconds to play. Crowell inside the 5 to the 4. Now they're going to have to use a timeout, and they do.
I mean, that's one of those plays you're saying we're going to expect some
Third
pressure.
and final charge timeout, Cleveland. A 30-second timeout.
And maybe we can pop a run and score, but then if you don't score because of the situation that you're in, you're going to have to burn a timeout.
All right, so they have no more timeouts left. 40 seconds left. The Browns scored with 2:07 to play. Terrell Pryor, second score of the day. They decided to go for 2. They missed that, and then they convert the onside kick and get the ball back, but they still need 2 scores. And we're still at that point, but they need another quarter of play, at least another 5 minutes, because they only have 40 seconds left.
Your only choice is to score now, get the onside kick, run a couple plays, and then try and kick a quick field goal.
Oof. Here's Kessler on second and goal. Pocket collapses. Nobody's open. Hats are off by the officials. And Kessler toward the pylon. Did he get in? They say no. He's out at about the 1 with 30 seconds to play.
Boy, that was close. Sean Spence was the defender that was closing on him. I believe it was Spence's leg that hit the pylon as Kessler's trying to reach out for it. But man, I tell you what, Cody Kessler,
he's tough.
he knows how to compete. I mean, think about the beating that he took last week against the Patriots to come back in this game. Great performance by the rookie quarterback.
Spencer Drango is an eligible lineman, and Mike Mularkey asked for a timeout. Different formation than what he thought. 29 seconds to play.
A 30-second timeout.
The Browns again are down by 2 scores. Look at Kessler here. It's a great overhead shot.
Wow.
Really close. Morgan and Daquan Jones tripped over each other for the Titans. I guess anything can happen in the National Football League. So if they score here.
Number 72 reports is eligible. Number 72 is an eligible receiver.
30 seconds to play. By the way, that play cannot be reviewed because it was not a score. With 30 seconds left here in the 4th quarter. 3-point lead for the Titans. Kessler hands it off to Johnson, and Johnson to the goal line. Touchdown, Cleveland. 27 seconds left. They'll go for one, and then they'll set up for another onside kick.
Well, say what you want. This is one heck of a way for the Browns to try and close out this game. In the last 5 minutes of the game.
Think about some of their losses this year. I mean, they're 0-5, obviously. They lost 25-20 to the Ravens, 30-24 to the Dolphins, and 31-20 to the Skins, but had the lead going into the fourth quarter. That touchdown is under review, which is not a surprise. Every scoring play is reviewed. Every interception or turnover is reviewed as well. They're going to look to see where Duke Johnson's knee was, if it was down or not. I think he crosses right there, Adam. Yep.
You can see the ball cross the plane before his knee goes down. What a sequence, what a drive. I know Hugh Jackson was trying to be aggressive. You know that if they were going to get the 2-point, that he would have went for the win here in this situation.
Right.
But they still have a chance. They can convert, get another onside kick, complete a few passes, and then put the game on their kicker to try and win it.
We've looked at this replay with everybody else. It looks like Johnson did break the plane, and his knee was not down.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So here's Cody Parkey for the point after. Cody Kessler, 26 of 40, 336 yards. The 23-year-old rookie from Bakersfield, California, has shown an awful lot of guts here this afternoon. Parkey's point after is good. So now the Browns will set up for another onside kick, down by 2. Well, partner, they've made it exciting here at the end. Hugh Jackson, in his first year as the Browns coach, you know, you talk to head coaches, they talk about decisions, and you roll with them. And this was a decision onside here. This was a no-brainer, but they were able to recover it.
You know, obviously you get the 2-point conversion and then everything works out. Now you're in the driver's seat. Those are the decisions that you make. You know, these decisions are calculated during the week of preparation. You know, they have a plan on how they want to attack certain situations in this game based on what they see from a matchup standpoint and what they feel is the best chance for their football team to go out there and win. Sometimes you choose right, sometimes you don't. But they still have a chance now to get this onside kick and have a shot at this game.
All right, the last time the Titans were aggressive on the onside kick and it failed and the Browns recovered. Do you think the same thing here?
You play the onside kick the same way. You have to attack the football, gain possession, let your offense take a knee.
Whistle blows, they blow it dead. Bayard came up with it, but a timeout called by Tennessee.
A 30-second timeout.
They froze Bayard. They iced him.
Well, Steve Hoffman took over as the special teams coach for the Titans after Mike Mularkey let go his buddy Bobby April. That was after the game you and I did in Houston when there was a 67-yard punt return. Mularkey said it was a very difficult decision, but he said, listen, special teams are important to me. I made my living as a special teams player. This is special teams play right here and how you're going to design the recovery.
Yep, big play. They talk about all 3 phases, complementary football. Still hard, even though they got the first onside kick, still not easy to try and gain possession of that ball on this kick for the Cleveland Browns.
All right, so here we go. Parkey to tee it up. The onside kick. This one's a little lower. It's a live ball. It's fumbled out of bounds by the Titans. Andre Johnson, the veteran. And the Titans will take over with 25 seconds to play and no timeouts for the Browns. All they need to do is take a knee.
Well, they had a small chance. Rashard Higgins was the end man, and he went to tackle Johnson before the ball got to Johnson's hands. But there was a chance to recover that football.
Bonus coverage coming up with the Ravens and the Giants once this one comes to a close. The Ravens with a 3-point lead over New York. Mariota under center takes a knee, and the Titans will win their second straight game, and they climb to the 500 mark. It wasn't easy. Mike Mularkey said it would be 60 minutes of football, and in essence, he got 60 minutes of football out of Hugh Jackson and the Cleveland Browns. Cody Kessler, 26 for 40, 336 yards passing here this afternoon. Final score, 28-26. Titans win it over the Browns. For Adam Archuleta, this is Tom McCarthy saying so long from Nashville. Now it's time for the Subway postgame show. Let's go to James Brown in New York. JB?